Hey guys, donnellsstitchery here, and we are at it again for another tutorial. Today, as you see, I'm going to work on showing you how I do the double wedding ring quilt block. And because I know this is a much larger block than my 10-inch blocks that are going into the charity quilts that I'm making with my block of the weeks, but I've had some viewers ask me to show them how I go about doing this because they've seen this and everything and all. And so they've asked if I could please try and give a little bit of a tutorial demonstration of how I go about doing this. So I was like, sure, why not? I'm like, I had the templates, I had the fabric, I had already cut up. I'm like, so why not show how? So I'm going to bring it down to so before we do anything, I'm going to show you the stuff that I got. And that way then I will show you how I put my pieces together. So this is the template that I have. I actually bought this off of Amazon. It is the Cut Right Double Wedding Ring Template Set. It has pieces where you could try and do like the three larger ones, or where you can do it in strips, or they have the smaller one here where you can try and make it a scrappy. And that would make it so that way that this black ring here would be a scrappy one. So I'm going to show you how to do it in this version, and then you could be able to use the templates all, but I'm going to explain it all as we go. So I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm going to bring it down to the desk. So I'm going to show you the templates. So the very first one we have is letter A, which is this template here. This is the one that you would use in order to make it scrappy. You want it to be scrappy. So if you want this black ring right here to be a scrappy, then you would try and cut out 6 of these here. And then you would try and lay them out, and that's how you would try and, once you get them stitched together, it would create a little bit wider of a ring, and you would try and cut, and then you would use this piece here, which is template letter B, as in boy, to lay it down over that fabric, and you would cut that out, which would give you these 2 rings here. Myself, I just use letter B, and you only need 2 of these for each of these squares. Along with the black rings, you also need the letter D, and you'll need 1 of these, which goes right in your center. For letter E, you need 2 of those, and that gives you these end ones here. You can make them the same, you can make them different, however it is that your heart feels like it. And then we got letter C, which is this nice big triangular. See if I can't get over here properly. Do 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 do. There we go. Kind of, sort of. So it's like a triangular shape, or a shape of an L, and you would need 2 of those. I took a little sticker, and I put stickers on mine, so that way there I know how many of each of those I would need to cut in order to make my block. And that is per block, which is this piece right here. Yeah, this one here is not working. Let me see here. There we go. So the numbers I have on these templates, that is what you need in order to make 1 of these. Now which is a block. Now there is such a thing in the pattern that is called an outer block and an inner block. This would be an inner block. If you want it if you want the outer block where it has the scalloped edges along the outside edges of the quilt, then you would try and do 1 of these, but without this white piece here. So that way then it would wind up like like this essentially. So that way there you got that nice ring here, So the black and the gold would be your edge of the quilt, and that would be your I know it's not exactly that great of a ring that I'm showing you guys, but sorry, it's kind of hard to show you whenever I've already sewn it on. And then it takes 4 of these to create one of these. So bring it back over this way. So that is it right there. And then you just turn it to get the different orientation. And you turn it again to get this one, and turn it again to get this one. And they're just sewn in a 4 patch. Myself, if I was to make a full wedding ring quilt, I would do all of them, all the blocks like this, because that way there it gives me nice straight square corners. So I like square corners, and it's easier to bind. So I am going to hang this up here. Let's see, it would want to go like this. And I've already got my pieces over here laid out. Let me bring it up here so I can show you. So on my wool mat here, I already have my pieces laid out. This is how you sew the blocks together. So you sew to both of the triangular pieces here. So for the triangular pieces, you take each of these triangular pieces, you take the black strip and you sew them together. And I'll show you guys how I'm going to sew these together in just a moment. Because these 3 pieces here go last. So you do these 2 sections first. And then you would do this section onto here, the football or lemon peel onto this one. And then you would do this onto this one. And then you just sew those 2 halves together. Now, if you want the scalloped edges, then at that point you would, hang on 1 second, I am going to fix this up on here. So if you want the scalloped edges, everything's laid down nice and flat, don't want to lose my pieces. So if you want the scalloped edges on your quilt, then you would sew these 2 together, then sew this piece onto it, and you would sew these pieces on, those pieces together, and then sew those onto this. So you would pretty much do every step except for sewing that to that. So, I mean, I'll show you as we go though. I don't want to confuse you guys too much because I feel like if I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. So let me lay this back out so that way I can remember in what order I do these. Move my templates out of my way. If I quit tossing things around. Alrighty, so we are going to take these 2 pieces first, and we're going to sew these 2 pieces onto them. Now, once you get to feeling a little bit more comfortable doing this, then you can be able to bring guys down here so that way they're a better view. Okay, make sure we got the right size up. Okay, so for this fabric here, it's a white on white tone. And you see here, I already got my slits cut. So what you do is you take the template, you lay it down on top of the fabric. Yeah, let me show you that part over here on the black fabric because that's going to be a little bit easier to see. So you lay that down, you lay it down with the wrong side facing up, And then these templates, as you see, have slits in them. You can use a rotary cutter, an ink pen, a pencil, whatever you want to use, whatever your preference is. You just lay it down on top of the strip after you cut it out. Get it all nice and squared up on there. And then you can use like a small rotary cutter to cut that slit there. What I prefer to do is I just use an ink pen. I just use my ink pen and I do a line onto every one of my pieces. So that way they're a nice solid line. The white ones I had already made my white L-shaped ones. I'd already made the lines and then I cut them. And then I realized I really didn't need to cut every single one of these. So then I only cut all of the L-shaped pieces. So we want to use this fabric here, the L-shaped fabric. We want that to be facing up. And then, so this is supposed to be laying down like this right here, up against the L-shaped fabric. But in order to sew this, I'm going to turn this one here upside down. Which means now, look at there. They're going in two different directions. What do we do? Well, what we do is we start up here. We match up our points up here. And you've got to make sure you leave that 1/4 of an inch. So you try and leave that 1/4 of an inch right there. And then where our first line is on the fabric, I don't know if you can see that really well or not. Let me see. Yep, there it is. You just match that up with a notch that I have underneath, that first notch I have underneath that fabric there. And what I like to do is I like to put a pin in right there just to get me started. Like a little anchoring thing there, so that way there I don't got to worry about this running away from me once I get it under the needle. So I would start this off over here. Got everything lined up nice and beautifully right there. Quarter of an inch seam. So up to where my needle is. I'm going to remove my needle. And then at that point, I am just going to move this over this way and this over this way to match up my fabrics. And in just a moment, when I get ready to do the next one, what I do is I start it. So I just got to the next mark. So I'm going to move my white fabric over this way towards this side, towards lined up straight with the needle a little bit. And then I'm going to move this over this way just a little bit until the fabrics are lined up, which gives me about that much of room to do more stitching. And then I stop. I want to keep my needle down. You can pin and do this, and it is a little bit easier if you pin. But I've gotten comfortable enough where I don't really care for the pinning too much. To me, it makes me feel more restricted, where this doesn't. And I'm just going in small little increments. Once I get to a point where the fabrics are no longer matched up, then I stop and I realign. And yes, it is causing a little bit of a curling up over here, and that is completely normal. It is what's supposed to take place. So do not stress over that. We're getting close to the end over here now. And if you guys can hear my husband's TV, I am so sorry. They're in there watching audio reviews on some audio systems that they're looking into getting for themselves. My husband is a big headphone junkie. He loves headphones. So this is what you got now. It's all sewn. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this over to the table. And it's going to be laying like this, all funky. And you're like, oh no, I messed up. What do I do? Well, you did not mess up. This is how it's supposed to look. So what you do is you take it and you try and start, what I like to do is I start in the middle and I push it with my fingers out towards the white, for in my case, whatever your background color is, you push it out towards there. And yes, this is bias fabric, but guess what? This is where bias is your friend, because it allows you to stretch and pull a little bit and everything, a little bit of tugging and all. And see, looky there. Now we have this nice, beautiful ring on here, and it looks super cute and adorable. I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to press it. And let me bring you up here. So look at that. We just did this one here. And it's nice and beautiful, all laying nice and flat now, because we pushed towards the outside. Which is the way, if you've seen, that's the way it wanted to go anyway. So now we're going to take the next one. And I'm going to show you a little different way on this one here. I am going to take my black center ring and I'm going to fold it in half and crease it right here. Just a quick little finger crease. You can use the iron if you want. But now we got a little crease here. Don't know if you can see that or not, but we got a little folded crease there. And then we're going to take the white with the right side facing up, or now the inside of the fold, and we're going to crease that center portion of the ring. And that will allow those two to nest up right in the center. I did try it this way and everything originally, and I just wasn't a big fan of it, but I do want to show it to you guys. You're going to lay these together with these creases in the center and everything that are going to be matching up perfectly. Essentially like nesting right inside them, inside of each other, and you're going to pin that right there at that crease. And then you're going to pin, then you're going to take the other two ends, and you're going to pin those right sides together. So that way they're like this right here. So that little notch and our black up here, that notch is going to go into the corner like this right here. Let's see. I'm trying to do this with you guys being able to see on the camera, and me somewhat trying to follow along with my fingers here. There we go. So you're going to see like a little smidge of the white sticking out, and that's okay. That's what we want. So you're going to pin right there. And then you're going to take the other end and you're going to do the same thing. Once again, you're going to lay them, let's see, lay them to where they're like this right here. Essentially, as someone had cut the corner off of that piece. Because technically we did. And then we got the two center parts flopping around. And Tasha from over at Tasha Quilts, she has a phenomenal video on curves that she just put out this morning. I watched it and I absolutely loved it. She shows several really good ways of doing this. That makes a lot of sense, at least in my brain. So I'm going to link it down below so that way there you can go check out her video. She loves, 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 loves doing curves, guys. So she would be a great person to also watch, because she absolutely loves her curves. She has actually designed a few quilts and everything, at least a few that I know of curved quilts. And they are absolutely stunning. kind of feel like if I was kind of underqualified to teach this, but at the same time, people asked me, so I was like, yes, I'll show you how I do this. So with it being pinned, now as you can see, it's going to be a little bit easier than if you were using your fingers, because now everything's already pretty much together. All you got to do is in between the pins, keep the fabric lined up, and make sure you keep with your 1/4 inch seam. So essentially all you're doing now is keeping the fabric smoothed out from right in front of the needle, which is not too hard to do. I just use my fingers. If you want, you can use like the purple thing or a pair of scissors, like the blades of a pair of scissors, whatever you want to use to help keep that all lined up nice and beautifully. Make sure you take your pins out but when you get to them, don't run over your pins because that is very, very dangerous. You can actually try and break your sewing needle if it hits it just at the right angle. If the sewing needle happens to be a weak sewing needle and you don't know it, so many things can take place, but you can definitely wind up. There's been several quilters where the needle has actually, the sewing machine needle has actually ran over the stick pin needles, broke the sewing machine needle, and came up and hit them in the face. If they were not wearing glasses, it would have punctured their eyes. So please, 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 be careful. Do not run over your needles. Personally, I don't like even pinning because they get in my way. Sometimes I'll get so focused, hyper focused on what I'm doing and completely forget to even take them out. And there's been a few times I've went over my needles, and to keep from forgetting, I just don't use them unless I have to. I mean, if it's a big project, yes, I will use them. So now what I'm doing, I'm taking this over. So it was like this. Now I'm taking it, just same thing we did before, using my fingers to push it over towards the white. I know I hate pushing towards the light. I prefer pressing to the dark, but it is what it is. Sometimes we just gotta break the rules. We gotta be rule breaker, guys. So now I'm just gonna bring it over here. I'm gonna press it. In my case, I iron. I don't do a lot of pressing. I do a lot of ironing. I know you're not supposed to iron in quilting. You're supposed to press. Guess what? It's my room, my rules. Now you're going to bring one of these back over here. And I'm bringing over my 2 little yellow pieces. I absolutely love this fabric, guys. Looky there. Isn't that little bumblebee or honeybee super cute? So my pieces here have little black marks. Oops. Works better if y'all can see it. So my pieces here have little black marks on them. One there. See if I can get it to focus in on this. There we go. We got one here and one over here. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting my thumb to cooperate. Then we got a black mark. I don't know if y'all can see it. Let's see. There is a mark right in the center of my black right there. Let's see if y'all can see it better down here. There you go. Right there is my mark. So what you want to do is, so for the mark here, you want to stick a pin in. The mark there, stick the pin through. That way there you can line those up, because those need to match up. The rest, not so much. Once you get them lined up, pin it, and then we're just going to stitch right down this side. And see, that's going to come over here, start over here in the white, and you're just going to stitch all the way down along this side here, stitching this yellow on. And you're going to do that to both ends. So it's going to go like this, because then once you get it done, when you flip it over towards the yellow, it's going to be like that, and it's going to be nice and beautiful, and it's going to cover all of both ends. I know it looks all funky, weird, size, shaped, and everything, but it's okay. It works. Trust me. Trust the process. I'm going to use a pen. I love my magic pens. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love my magic pens. They're like my favorite stick pens in the world. I hear you doing something weird and crazy on me. Yep, there you go. I was waiting for it. Every tutorial, you just gotta be a little stink butt, don't you, machine? Got a little bit of bird's nest back here. Give me one moment. Do 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 do. Don't know where my seam ripper is offhand, so we're just going to use slash to carefully cut through these threads. Oh well. We'll just start up there at the other end. It'll be all right. There we go. So what I like to do is I just like to do both ends. So get that little end over there tucked inside of there. You can do a locking stitch at the beginning and end of each of these if you want. I'm not, because I mean the stitching is going to be locked whenever I sew it all together anyway. So I'm not that worried about it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to press these over to the orange or the yellow, whatever color you want to call it. To me, it's like a golden yellow. So we're going to press that over to there. And if it's a little off, like how it is this one over here, that is okay. It's just I had a little fumble down here, which caused me to lose some up here, but that's okay. It's within enough of a grass that I can be able to make it so it's not so obvious when I put my blocks together. So now I'm just going to come over here and press that. I don't like the fact that it fumbled, but it's not enough where I'm going to waste the piece. So that is how this piece looks now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece down. And actually I'm going to give this other one a quick little pressing. Because, you know, you heat up those fibers, they get loosened up. Which makes it a little bit easier to finagle them how you want them. Now we're going to take this piece here, this other one, and we're going to attach our, what I like to call a football to it. A lot of people call it the orange pill. I like to call it a football. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to use my iron this time to give myself a nice, good, solid, hot press. I'll make sure it's nice and sharp so that way there you guys can see it with no problem. So we got that nice hot press right there in the center. And then I'm going to bring my football over here and I'm going to give it a pressing. I'm going to do this one completely in half, not just the edge. So, got this one here nice and pressed. You can see my crease really good with the white fabric. We're going to lay these. Probably should have done it the other way around because as you can see, I already have my markings on this one. Let me do it the other way. Forgot I needed to face in the opposite direction. What was I thinking? There it is. I know this one is a little bit of a longer tutorial than what I would care for normally, but you can't have all short tutorials. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take these. I got my the markings here lined up of where I pressed them both. I got them lined up. I'm going to stick a pin in there in that crease. That is my halfway point between A to B. And then I'm going to try and bring at the football end and this end. I'm going to match those up. And I'm going to put a pin in there. And then I'm going to do the same to the other end. And then we got these lines here on the football. So we have this here now. And you see there we got the floppy parts. What I like to actually do is take these, match up my start and my center. Let's take these here. Take one of my ends and my center, match at those needles. Straighten out my center in here. Get it all lined up nice and neatly and organized in there. And that gives me the quarterway mark. So that way there, then I can be able to pin that. To see how that's all nice and flat in there? Whenever I match those up, because I got the short ends all curled up by each other. So now if I take a pin, go right down that center right there, stick a pin in there. And that's your centerway mark. In between your halfway and your start. Over there, it gives you a little bit of a wiggle room to work with without stressing too much. You can do the same for this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our halfway mark and our end, and we're going to fold those up together. Match at those needles. Have them crisscross right there. And then we're going to use our finger over here to put in here and get it all nice and straightened, centered up. I'm using this finger here to pinch right below. Put a pin right down in the center here. That way there, I'm like stabbing the edge of both pieces of the fabric, right where they line up at and match up whenever they're folded. And that gives me something to work with. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my machine. I'm going to hold my finger right here. I'm going to take that first pin out. Because that's a little too close for comfort for me. I don't want my pen right up against that. Give myself a couple of anchoring stitches. So that way there, then I can come up here and line up. And doing it this route actually seems a little bit easier because I got my center, my start, my end, and the quarterway marks all pinned nice and securely, and it's enough to give me some wiggle room, but not a lot of wiggle room. It's like enough for comfort. There's like I can move the fabric, but it's not going to move too much out of my way. Staying nice and flat relatively underneath the needle. Now all you gotta do is use these fingers here of this hand to help smooth it out by the needle to make sure you're not getting lumps and stuff underneath there. If you do, it's not that serious of a condition. You can usually try and press it out. And now my other needle's out. That piece is on. And we want to press this towards the football, which, as you can see, that's the way that it's wanting to go anyway. So you just I pretty much like just to let it decide which way it wants to go. If you still need help with this, after this and after watching Tasha's amazing video, feel free to reach out to me. I have no problem helping anyone that actually needs some help with this. It can be a very scary block to do. Myself, personally, I absolutely love doing it. I'm just clearing off some stuff off my plate before I really get in there and do this because I want to be able to stay focused on this whenever I start. So now we're going to join this half and this half. And to do so, we are going to do the same process that we've been doing. It's no different. We're going to find the center of this, which, if you remember, we already had a nice good crease, and it's still somewhat there. I'm just using my fingers to give it a little bit more of a crease after I just pressed it. If you use iron or starch or anything like that, you really want to give it a good crease. And then we're going to fold this in half, and I'm going to give this a good crease. So we're going to put these together. Oops. And I did it the wrong way again. You know, that's where you got that ink, and there's so much. Now, we're just going to come over here and redo the black one. One of these days, I'm going to get my orientation correct. Obviously not today. So, as you can see, I have my crease here. I don't know if it's going to show you or not. Let's see. Maybe down here, if I hold it up closer. You'll see I have my fabric crease there. And then it's creased over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over on top of here for the center marks. Match those up and pin them. And then I'm going to pin the beginning. So for the beginning, I'm going to pin this here, this part here, to the beginning of this here. Just matching it up. We want this, that seam where the yellow and black are connected, and then the seam where the black and white are connected. We want those to match up against each other, because that would allow our mark in the center here on both sides to match up. Because then we can put a pin in that spot. We could put a pin over here on this spot to help hold those to matching up. And that's really the only places I actually match up on this. And with pressing towards the gold and pressing towards the football, they nest up to each other, essentially, which helps to keep that straightened up. And so then fold this over to here. So where those seams match up, match that needle up to your center needle. And that allows you to match this up here for your quarterway mark. Then we'll do the same thing over here. I know it's a lot of pinning, and you guys are probably not ever used to seeing me doing all this pinning, but this block here, I do a lot of pinning. I just have to be extra careful that I don't run over my needles. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take this first needle out. I actually have this where my football is on the bottom. Because otherwise the fabric likes to wiggle a little too much up here on the top, the loosey-goosey stuff. And I want to be able to keep it all nice and organized. You can do it the other way around, however your little heart can feels like it and everything. Whatever it is that you want to do, just remember, this is your block, your room. You do it how you want to do it. So now we're gonna finagle some of this loose stuff over here. It's all about manipulating the fabric. There's nothing to be scared of. It's just taking your time. This block does take a lot longer than most other quilt blocks, but that's okay, because you know what they always say, everything that is worthwhile takes time. If it is not worthwhile, then it's not worth doing. It can stress you, but you just got to take your time, be patient. If you had to, just do like one of these squares a day or something. There's no race in this. So, personally, my opinion. So, according to the pattern, you're always supposed to press towards this little corner piece here, which means it will all be going over here. Which means then you're pressing away from the football or the lemon peel, orange peel, whatever you want to call it. To me, it looks like a football. Which goes against what it tells you in the book to press towards the D. I think that was the D. But in my opinion, you press whichever way that fabric wants to go. Do not fight it. Let it have its way. If it wants to go that direction, you let it. Why fight? Why get stressed out over it? Now this one here, compared to my other, did come out a little bit more wonky. That's okay. Now I'm going to actually get my mist bottle. Give it a little mist. I got a combination of half water, half best press in there to help everything lay down nice and flatly because we got a lot of stuff going on in here. I have not done that to the rest of my blogs yet, but I will be. And this part here measures 8.5 by 8.5. And this is the beautiful block. So now, if we want, which I'll go ahead and do, we could actually join these together like this to create the top half of our circle. So I'll go ahead and do that. And to do that, you just have the two yellows facing each up against each other. So I just made sure that my white corner is matched up because this is got still might be a little on the wonky side. I have not figured out how to make it not wonky yet. Let's see, my opinion is with that one there going towards the yellow, then we don't nest. So we're going to manipulate our seam a little. So I'm pushing this here, so it was pressed this way. I'm pushing this one down so that way they're my top and bottom will nest and be facing opposite directions. Make it all play together nicely. You gotta make it work for you. Okay? And then you just press it to whichever way you want. I am going to fix this one seam real quick though. Set my seam by heating it up. Flip it over. You could do, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an open seam on this. You got a lot going on in there. A lot of bulk, a lot of fabric in that seam up here where they join up at. So I'm pressing mine open. You can feel free to press yours however you want because it's not really a light side and a dark side on this. So you can feel free to press it however you feel. Press it to the right, press it to the left, press it open, press it whichever way it feels like going, whatever your heart wants. All depends on how much of a fight you feel like having. There's my pen. Wondering where he ran away to. My best friend, which is my acorn pen that I was gifted that I had best press in. Wondering where I put him the other day. And for that, I am just going to, and that is just straight up best press. I bought a large bottle off of Amazon that I used to refill him with. Okay, and there is the top half of our wedding ring. Now you just need to make two more of these to add them to the bottom half, and you would connect it the exact same way. And this measures out to be 16 inches wide. So let me put this up here. And there we go. So that is the double wedding ring quilt. You can already see the two rings are forming. And as you go and build out on it, then these here would create like a whole nother ring there, another ring down here, which is the reason why it's called a double wedding ring quilt. Now, this template here I bought off of Amazon, and I don't remember how much it was, but feel free to take a look on there. I will see if I can't find it and link it in the description of this video, as well as I'll link Tasha from Tasha Quilts tutorial on how to do curves that she just released this morning, because she shows a couple different ways of doing it, as well as I did during this here, pinning, not pinning, getting sections folded in half or quarters to get that all pinned up and everything. You could use clips. I prefer pins for something this finicky like this, but I will link it all down in the description, and so check it out. I hope you enjoy this. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to post it down in the description box below, or to also email me, which is also found in the description. And I check my emails multiple times a day, every day. So I will get back to you that day or the very next morning. I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day. Take care, and see y'all Wednesday night for a foundation paper piece fun. Bye, guys.